It is Sunday, and we're the European Ham Radio Show with two Americans over there. And let's see if I can do this. I can't, but we got Sean.
We identify as Europeans. It's 2023.
But we got Sean here, Ham Radio Dude, and Walt doing the American part here. Let's say here. We got to get started here. There's a lot of things happening in the chat, but we're going to have Sean on today talking about 3D printing and probably a lot more because we rarely stay on topic on the European Ham Radio Show.
Thank goodness.
But let's start out with our Ham Radio weeks. Hopefully everyone's week is as short as mine, but we'll start with you, Tobias. You've been doing some DMR this week, haven't you?
Yes, my Ham Radio week was a Ham Radio day as usual, and I've resurrected my Anytone, put the latest firmware on, and had a small QSO with Yetil. And then I found out that my hotspot is hideously out of date, so I started updating and looking into the, what is it called, W9FFF Pi-Star clone, and that's what's currently running in the background, but I probably should not image the SD card again because my camera is also on USB, so I probably lose the camera when I try that, so I wait until the stream's over.
Yeah, probably not a good time to multitask. I've been running that hotspot for a while now, and for the 2 times a year I use DMR, it seems to be working fine.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that nobody's using their mobile handsets. Everybody has, thousands of these things lying around, but not a lot of QSOs.
So, and that's your entire Ham Radio week this week, Tobias?
Yeah, unfortunately short, but some days and some weeks are like that.
Yeah, and before we go on, I just got to say sorry to Nathan here because I logged you wrong for the Ham Radio Mega Stream. I'm not used to doing pile-ups like that, so I am sorry, but perhaps Stu, I saw Stu in the chat as well, perhaps he could edit my log so everything is fine. Kjetil, how has your week been?
It's been quite a bit of activity. I did one SOTA on a very windy and muddy day. Hiked up to the closest hill to me is a SOTA. It's like 5 minutes to drive or something like that. So that was nice. Then on yesterday, I think I had my first ever CWQ. So that was epic. I used this little fancy device here. It's a digital modem. You plug in a keyboard and it sends CW and RTTY, and it can also decode it. So I managed to get 4 QSOs using the CW mode. Of course, I didn't send it myself, so I do know it's cheating before all the pitchforks get out there.
That's not real ham radio, Kjetil.
Yeah, I know, but it's fun. So I tried it out. I bought this years ago, and I just found it in a moving crate. So that was cool. Even got a DX contact, somebody from New York City. So,
that is not too bad. And I've been looking for those all the way since you showed that video yesterday, but it seems like they're not available anymore.
Yeah, and like when somebody makes a video, everybody else wants to make the same video. So this is actually the first time, like if you find this on YouTube, I think there's about 10 videos with this in it. And most of them are like 5 or 6 years old when it was produced. So this is the first time I've been able to make a video that everybody else hasn't made before. So that was kind of cool. And of course, I could run 100 whiskey off my TS480 set. So that was also helpful. Then I had a nice little chat with Tobias. Found some new things about DMR, like how you do a direct call, which I've never done before. So that was cool. And also that being indoors drops my S meter with whatever the repeater hears me with like 3 or 4 levels. So I have to be outdoors to do proper DMR. So that's been my week.
Yeah, and you don't have a hotspot, right? Because you live right next to a repeater.
I have a hotspot. I just don't know where it is. But I don't really need it either. I have a good DMR repeater close by. I did find an issue though, since I was doing a direct call. Like some local guys, they just opened the local talk group and started talking, and they got priority. And they were like fracturing everything, like 80-meter net, with like what the grandkids were doing, stuff like that. So that kind of killed me being active on DMR.
You always have 2 time slots, so you can always try the other one if that one is not statically booked.
You are not very popular if you open time slot 1 with another talk group in Norway, to say the least.
No,
Okay.
then the DMR police comes, and
you down.
they are strict. They always listen. They never speak.
Yeah, so I may actually boot up that DMR hotspot again when I find it.
Yeah, awesome. And Walt, you've been out testing the Jeep with some POTA.
Yeah, I had a good time yesterday. Last week I was just getting over the funk. You know what I mean? That's some really bad cold. We'll leave it at that. We won't. It's the politicized virus I had.
You are allowed. You are allowed on YouTube actually to say it by its name now.
Yeah. Well, I won't. My wife is actually getting through it right now. She's getting a little bit better, but yeah, it was a rough week. But felt pretty good yesterday. Got out. I went to Fort Monroe. It's a former Army base here. There's a battery right there. It's called the Gibraltar of the Chesapeake Bay. Pretty cool place. And yeah, I went out there and with the Jeep, and I've got all my portable antennas like stashed in the back of the Jeep. So I was just going antenna to antenna to antenna, just goofing around, having fun. And actually had a great day. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time just playing with different antennas on the magnet mount and seeing how things would go. So all in all, pretty good. I've done two videos in a row in the Jeep. Now I got to get back out on the beach and stop that. You know, people. You know, I'm not the mobile guy. So.
But I noticed one thing though, Walt, and I do not have to be ashamed of how much gear I have in the trunk of my car anymore.
Oh yeah. Piled up with 2 beach chairs back there and everything else. It's pretty bad. I need to go straighten it out. I didn't even think about it before I did the video. I just had everything thrown in the back of the Jeep. And I'm like, oh well, it's real. You know what I mean? That's just what it looks like every day, man. This is my life. But yeah, pretty cool. Looking forward to that. Like I said, I've had that Jeep now, about 3 weeks, and enjoying it. I'm ready. I've already got it. I'll grab it in a minute. I got a very inexpensive 2 meter, 70 centimeter rig that I'm going to put in there on the Jeep probably this week. And and I have a 11 meter rig I'm going to put in there. So I drive down the highway. I can talk to my trucker friends and stuff. You know what I mean? I find out what's going on up ahead of the road for the traffic and all that good stuff. And who knows, maybe get over there on channel 38 lower sideband every once in a while and talk a little skip to my good buddy.
That's
but we have already identified as CW friendly here, so no, that's CB friendly, so that is fine.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, that's my week. I'm pretty excited to see Dude here. This is cool. It's good to have you on here. I guess I'll switch it over to you and we'll talk about your week.
well, I was going to say, any complaints about that CB radio? That's Walt, K4OGO. You can find him on QRZ.
Salty Walt. That's Salty Walt. You got the Salty Walt there, good buddy.
Steve nailed it.
Remember, Steve, I made a PMR video with WinLink a few weeks or months back. So, yeah, we are not that professional here.
but back to Sean here. How's your ham radio week been?
Pretty good. I got a couple things done. Did a lot of All-Star. I helped get a guy on All-Star, which was fun. And then I didn't get any HF in this week, which is extremely rare. But I did get. I got an outdoor antenna. I got it up in the tree, and it runs. It's 30 gauge wire, super small. You can't even see it. It runs into the window here. And really, the wire's just kind of being held up because the window is closed, and it's working right now. So, or at least it's looking pretty good. So I got that taken care of.
Is that the HOA friendly antenna that you've been talking about making a video on?
Working on it, but I'm trying a little bit more now because if I can extend it out to the backyard, I could almost do a full loop So, so I might be the first HOA townhouse guy in the world with a 160-meter loop.
That is amazing.
But you did make the mistake of talking about it on YouTube. So
Yeah. I'll threaten them with my attorneys, you know.
But we all know that angry HOA people makes good YouTube videos, don't we, Walt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They do.
Was that your video?
I would be more worried about telling everything on YouTube before you do the video, and then tomorrow you're going to see another YouTuber do a video on a loop around a townhouse.
That happens all the time. I got over that anger. I used to get really angry about that, but
Same here. I'm over it now too. I've been down that road. Exactly.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You know, it's What did they say? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. There was something else ham radio related. I was really going to push this. Oh, I played with my Redifus radio, and boy, this radio is great.
Was that by accident?
No, I threw it. I have a Bronco. You know, forget that Jeep stuff down there. But I threw it out the window. And it landed in the sand. I kicked it in the sand for a while, threw it in the water, and then I ran it over with my Ford Bronco. And still works, still transmits. I'm still heard just fine. I can still scan even, you know.
Yeah. They'll probably just send you a new display for replacement. Yeah.
I think that would be fun. That way I can open it up and I could check inside and see what is inside, but also, yeah, replace it if it's possible. I'm sure it is. Yeah. And I'd still use it, of course. I'm still going to use it. I'm actually probably going to tear this apart if they can't do that and make an all-star node out of it, you know?
That is awesome, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a cool idea.
You know what? I shouldn't have said that, though. Dang it, Walt on there is going to come steal that idea.
I can tell you one thing. The last thing you have to worry about with me is anything that's not HF related. I'm just 100% HF guy, so...
Oh, yeah. I forgot to say I'm going to convert it to HF.
Yeah, there's no all-star nodes on HF, so...
Yet.
Your idea was.
Having all-star nodes on HF would kind of defy the purpose of all-star, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could make it pretty interesting, for sure.
Yeah, there are 10-meter repeaters, so I guess that would work, though.
Yeah, we're going to do something similar to All-Star on HF. We're going to call it Rockstar.
That's right, Rockstar.
High star.
Before we go out on a tangent here, Bob, you were Ham Radio Week.
Before?
No, we're already.
Yeah.
Bob, go on a tangent. That's what you wanted to say.
Let's go on a tangent. No, I can talk about my ham radio week. It's been fairly short. There's the usual nets on 10 meters sideband and 2 meters sideband, and I managed a summit today. It's the smallest summit I've ever been on. I think that was 200 and some meters. But at least I got out. I was getting cabin fever and needed to get out, so I just picked a small one. And I'm getting really, really tired of getting eaten alive by ticks in the Norwegian forest now. So I'm looking forward to some frost that's going to kill these critters. Or going to Sardinia, which is what I'm doing in 3 weeks. I'm hoping there's no ticks down there. So a whole week of Sota with no ticks. That's going to be fantastic.
So you are going to New York next week and then Sardinia in 3 weeks?
I'm going to work 4 days in between. So I'll pull my weight at work. as I always do.
Yeah.
I
saw you were out doing soda today. I got the spot when I was out doing POTA, but you were too close for 20.
Yep. So, I have misplaced my antenna. I spent almost an hour looking for it, looking as men always do in the same places over and over. And I just can't find my ground plane 20-meter antenna anymore. So I guess I have to make a new one.
I was a bit worried you were talking about either your 17-foot whip or your Sidewinder antenna, because I know very well where they are.
Yeah, talking about that, I'm going to restart the Q100 project, because you have the stand for one of these, don't you?
Yeah, I got your stand for your slide winder. Haven't
Yeah.
used it yet, but I have it. So
Yeah.
we got to meet up, do a POTA, and I can give your antennas back to you.
That's a good idea. Hey, there we go.
What color's yours?
What color is mine, Mortin?
Your color is red.
Oh, okay, thank you. You've used it more than I. Ah, look at that.
Oh.
You can. It's a DIY buzzer.
We are almost on topic right now. Before we're done with the first segment.
Excellent. But before we start with the topic, just remember when you're done with your week, you have to present this week's correct answers. Yeah.
Or at least the people that had the correct answers, and you can talk about it then.
Absolutely.
So, but I guess it's my turn now. My ham radio week has been short. I filmed a video yesterday about the nicest automotive install I've seen of an FT891. We're going to go back to that when we're on the 3D print part here. Did a video about that. That's dropping tomorrow. And I went on a POTA today. Took the TS440 and the NFET halfwave from radiostuff.com. And I'm starting to really love that antenna. I think it was 8 QSOs in a row from the US on 15 meters, and not the usual East Coast stations, but I got, let's see, Kentucky, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Indiana, I think. So I got a lot of Midwest states there, and that was awesome. And I even had one guy that told me that he bought his X6100 because of my videos.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, I saw there was some amazing opening yesterday. I saw a stream with one guy doing 10-meter FM repeaters from UK to the East Coast US. So yesterday was a good DXT.
Chris, I saw that. Yeah.
Yesterday was probably really good to go out do POTA, but someone forgot to charge his phone, so he didn't have a camera to film or anything to log on. So I got to start to remember to both bring my gear and charge it up before I go out doing that.
Do you know what this is?
It's a pencil.
It's like it's a high-tech thing you can log with it.
Yeah. And I actually, at the ham meeting I can show you that. I bought... Oh, that really worked with the green screen. Let's see. I bought one of these analog logbooks.
Transparent logbook.
Yeah, transparent logbook. But it is in my desk drawer in my shack. So that didn't help. Did the POTA today, and that's it for my ham radio week, actually. It's been a lot of work and not as much ham radio for me. So before we go on... we just got to let you guys know that Sean has a stream right after us where you're doing a lot of giveaways, aren't you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm giving away a Giga Dude carbon fiber mast. That's my own creation, if you will. I got them manufactured and I've been selling them for a while. And giving away a bunch of antenna-related stuff. And a multimeter and whatever else I could find in here that I just want to get rid of at the moment.
And what's the occasion for that?
24,911 subs. It was supposed to be 25,000 subs, but I just couldn't hit the number. We didn't meet our quota.
So you kind of jumped the gun a little bit when announcing the stream.
The math was all there, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to hit it on Sunday. Like, I did all the math, and then on Thursday, somehow I lost like 21 subscribers. I upset...
6,000 by Wednesday. It always works that way. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it definitely does. I must have upset somebody.
Or we can celebrate 50 if one more guy subscribes now while we are streaming this.
Hey, subscribe.
Please do subscribe to the European Ham Radio Show, and we can get 50 on our channel.
And also to Ham Radio Dude, so he can reach his goal for today. That would be really nice.
That would be...
I checked. I'm already subscribed. I can just make it worse when I click a button.
Let me see here.
And actually, I got an email now. We got a new subscriber on the European Ham Radio Show.
Fantastic.
I'm trying.
And the bonus of being
that
a
was
subscriber
the 50.
is that
Thank you, whoever that was.
The bonus of subscribing is actually that you can join our chat, though. and apparently you can anyway, because Steve just realized that he's not subbed to this channel.
So he's number 50 now, forever.
Yeah. Okay. So the contest. Let's show the right, or not the right answers. You can present the right answer there, Bob, but I'm going to show who had the right answers from our contest last week.
Yeah. And I can explain why we're doing this. This is part of the draw for the cap prize, the fantastic valuable prize. These are the call signs of the people with correct answers, and they each have an index starting from 0. And later on, I will explain why that's relevant, but it has to do with how we pick the winners in a fair way. That is
in compliance with YouTube's really complex rules on how to do giveaways.
They're not really that complex, but okay. This is something that all the viewers can verify after the fact that we weren't trying to cheat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll spend about 1 minute talking about the correct answer as well, I think, since we have the list up on screen.
Yeah, we can have the list up while you talk about the correct answer.
Yeah, great job on from these 4. There's going to be a new contest, a new what's that mode next week. We'll do the solutions and the contests every other week. And last week was, of course, automatic picture transmission, or APT. This is a fairly old encoding system that's used by satellites. You can pick that up with a handheld, like the one Sean liked to drive over with his car. And you can decode that with an app on a phone or a computer or whatever. And you get basically a satellite image coming down line by line of the weather. So you can see where are the clouds placed over a fairly big part of the globe. You can see on these pictures. So you should look it up. There's something called the Signal Identification Wiki. It's a really nice place to look up information on signals and what they sound like and what they look like and how they work. You can read a lot more about this mode there. So it's normally transmitted on, I think, around 137 megahertz, 137, 138, 139, around about there.
Isn't it about 137, well inside the airband?
I wouldn't know where the airband is, but it's currently it's 137.26.9125 and 0.1. That's the 3 satellites currently broadcasting in this mode. So,
and if anyone doubts the number of the correct answers, please take a screenshot now, because I'm going to remove it. So and we're going to put it up again when we do the drawing.
Absolutely, and they can always rewatch the stream if they're
Yep.
There's contention.
So we are in this far. We're in compliance with the rules.
Yep. Let's talk about 3D printing.
Yeah. Let's see, who doesn't 3D print among us? Walt doesn't 3D print.
And what's embarrassing is I'm a design engineer and I 3D CAD model all day long.
That would actually be really interesting to have him 3D design something in modeling and then have us print it, just to see how it works out.
See who has the best 3D printing skills.
That would be really cool, actually. What software do you use, Walt?
Unfortunately, I use a software called Ship Constructor, so it just models and cuts in for steel and aluminum parts, and it's basically designed for building ships. Although I also can use AutoCAD. I can 3D design in AutoCAD. So
yeah,
this is something like I'm also a designer like Walt, and used to work with mechanical design. So this is actually a folded sheet part. And we 3D printed the prototype of it. Stupid green screen, but still functional, like design-wise 3D print part. And this is like fun. And working with mechanical design, being able to prototype something quickly is really cool. At least if you want, like, just holding something in your hand makes it so much more obvious how it works, and maybe it doesn't work, even if it looks perfectly on screen.
That's usually the way it works for my. But when I hold it in my hand, I discover why it doesn't work.
Yeah. So it's a cool little thing to do, and for work, like perfect.
Yeah.
if you work with that kind of thing.
And for our hobby, it is really nice to have a 3D printer, just to be able to make antenna parts and all such things as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. All of a sudden, you have this idea, and you can mock it up and print it up and see if it's even going to be a feasible idea, if it's going to be functional or not, and if not, what can you do to make it feasible and work? You know, with that carbon fiber mast I have, I designed all. I'm not a designer, by the way. I designed all the toppers for that mast and all these parts that are like basically an ecosystem for the mast, and it just makes it so much more than a mast at that point. It's like all of a sudden you have these cool you know, you can clip this on, and then you could have a dipole every, you know, 5 feet or 4 feet, and all of a sudden a fan dipole, you know, just starts to give you these creative ideas that you probably wouldn't have thought of before. And who knew that I could take 17-foot telescoping antennas and actually have them stand up on a carbon fiber mast horizontally? But it comes down to, okay, I designed this, and in theory it's going to be strong. Now it comes down to, what do I want to print with to see how strong it's going to be, and what will allow it to hold up, you know, because you could print all the way from PLA is a corn-based filament, and all the way up to like carbon fiber. I've recently started printing with carbon fiber, and obviously we have some interaction there with ham radio, so you have to know those things. But you really just appreciate the strength of carbon fiber, or even polycarbonate for that matter, and how strong it could be, as well as holding up to the outdoor weather, UV protection, and so forth. So there's a lot to consider there, but you're absolutely right. It's definitely a well use for ham radio, as well as many other things. That's why it's becoming so big right now. And in the next 5 years, we're going to see 3D printing become even more of a common thing in everyday use.
I think so, and I think we're going to see 3D printers that are pretty ready to use out of the box. And not a kit like most 3D printers are today. And speaking about that, go ahead, Sean. I'll do Andy's comment after.
Yeah. So you just mentioned something, and you know, my ADHD, I'll forget in 2 seconds. These two printers right here. Let's
see. I'm going to try to embiggen you here, Sean. Let's see. There we go.
Can I zoom in? Yeah. No, that looks horrible. Trust me, it's going to look horrible. The two printers right there is the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon. It's a little bit of money. $1,500 with that top piece on. And then the one next to it is the Creality K1. $379 on sale right now. And they're both called Core XY printers. They're both enclosed. But more importantly, what you were talking about is, I took them out of the box. I unscrewed 3 screws. I turned it on, and they were printing. And I haven't done anything else with them. They've been printing nonstop for 2 weeks, you know, or a week.
Yeah, when I bought my Ender 5, I spent 2.5 weeks with bad language in order to get it to do the first bad print.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm showing you a photo, Mortin.
I'm just going to do Andy's comment first, though, because he asked, what's the best one to buy? And that is kind of like asking, what's the best ham radio?
What's the best radio to buy, right?
That's easy. That's a Yaesu. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. Like, do you want to fix everything on it? Do you want to build it? Do you want something that prints like resin?
First of all, what's your budget? Second of all, what are you going to print? And thirdly, are you looking for a new hobby, or are you just looking for something that works?
That's exactly it.
That's
exactly it.
We have so many people that print at work that ask the same question, like they want something for home. And most of them, like, they don't think about, you have to maintain this. At least you had to. With the new ones, they are like a washing machine. Like, you just get it and it works.
Yeah.
I guess.
And you need somewhere to put it, though.
Yeah.
For instance, on a side table next to your dining room table, just as a hypothetical example.
Well, so there's
amazing.
There's another. I'm sorry. There's another good point there, though. You have to have somewhere to put it. So let's just say you've decided on a price. You've decided that you want the ability to print super strong, durable ABS or ASA or even carbon fiber filament, and you're going to put it on your kitchen table. The problem with that is where are you going to then have to consider ventilation? Because there are some filaments, and it's very important that you do your own personal research on which filaments are not toxic and which ones have like a toxicity. For example, many times I've heard people tell me, well, I can print with ASA indoors all day long because it's not toxic. And I'm like, well, it's not as toxic, but if you read the reports, it still produces chemicals into the air that could potentially cause harm to you or your family or your dog. So along those same lines is, do I have the space for what kind of printer I'm getting and what I'll be printing, because you don't want any of those weird chemicals in your house.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and especially
And,
with the resin ones, like they are horrible. Even the odorless ones, they don't smell as bad, but you were still noticing that there's some resin in that room curing.
Yeah. In fact, I print with this one, and when I do print with like toxic chemicals, I have the vent going out. I have it in the back of the fan, and it goes out the window. And this morning, like I still noticed a little bit of an odor, even with that. And I'm like, well, I didn't think the ventilation was horrible, but now I might need to reconsider that.
I stopped using my resin printer mostly because
your resin.
Mostly because I had to get rid of the when you wash the resin, you have to get rid of it. Or when you wash the print, you have to get rid of the things you wash with. You can't flush it because it has uncured resin in it, so it's bad for the environment, and also it messes up your pipes. And if you wash it with chemicals, you have to get rid of those chemicals, and you have to store them, you have to collect them, you have to transport them. So there's a lot of things I didn't think about, basically.
And you got
Exactly.
you got a good point about the resin printers. And so if we were to go back to Andy's question of what kind of printer should I buy, and I guess this would be a general suggestion to everybody, I also would highly recommend staying away from resin printers, because also resin is very bad to work with. If you handle it without gloves, for example, or you get a little bit on you, you can gain a permanent allergic reaction to resin. And so it could harm you long term very easily. It's just not worth messing with it, to be fair.
Exactly. We got a couple of questions here, though. Gert asked if it's more effective to buy one or to have it printed by someone else. And I guess that depends on the volume. And if you want to do the time and learn how to 3D print, though.
That is in fact exactly what you said. Are you looking for a new hobby, or are you just looking to have things made? If your only interest is having things made, it's really hard to think you're not going to be better off just buying the printed part from someone else.
Exactly. And we got a budget from Andy here, though. His budget is £500. So I guess
let me convert that to we're on the other side here. I want to convert that real quick, though.
$700.
Thank you.
Yes, €700, $700. So,
that's a very fair price.
I gave him a suggestion in the chat, but that's just me, and I'm by far no expert, so I would go for Prusa Mini Plus. I think that would fit into the budget, and you would have a very nice starting point for FDM, which does not take too much space on your desk either.
I need to vent. Did you own a Prusa Mini, Tobias?
No, I'm owning a very expensive Zortrax M200, which is it came out like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I think at that point in time it was the how should I say, a 3D printer less hassle. Yeah, it's basically made for printing. It's an ABS workhorse, but the amount of money it cost, it was not my best decision to buy it.
The reason I ask is I own a Prusa Mini, and I own Mortin. You know how I have a tendency to pick up things, so I own several other 3D printers. Let's just say, no other printer has given me so much trouble as that Prusa Mini.
But was it? Did somebody build it and you just bought it, or was it?
I bought that directly from Prusa. It got here, and I renamed that thing the clog machine. I've replaced everything having to do with the extruder on that machine with the third-party parts, and now it actually works quite nice. But this is the thing. When you buy a 3D printer, you're buying into a hobby. You need to be good at maintaining 3D printers. And the point of buying a Prusa is that you shouldn't have to do that, and that is not the case.
So you
with the
are
Prusa.
the
I mean, it wasn't
lucky
with mine.
exception to everybody else, because I have heard so far nobody having problems with Prusa printers.
I have
But okay.
I have another suggestion for Andy though. A FlashForge printer. The FlashForge printers are not the best printers, but they work out of the box. I've had one, and that was a pleasant experience, except for the bed, which was 15 by 15 centimeters. So you can't really print anything big on it, but it simply just works.
So that is another. There's two good points there that have just come up. Number one is, do you have a big enough build space? Because there's these smaller printers that have a smaller bed space. I think probably 15 by 15 as you're talking. And I don't usually typically recommend those because it's a hard, like, for example, you can't get a mask on there, right? Not that you want a mask for ham radio, but maybe you do.
Maybe
But-
you do.
But you're going to be limited. Like, okay, so rails for an 891.
Yeah.
You know, they could be this long, and you're not going to fit those on that print space. So then you have to either break it up and then somehow figure out how to bond them together. It becomes a hassle. So, you know, at minimum, like 256 by 256 at a minimum. But so that was one of the things I was thinking of. And actually, there's one other point, and one thing to consider if you're a ham radio guy purchasing a printer. We talked about space now, but where are you going to put it? Let me give you the example. We talked about earlier, what did I do in ham radio this week? And I'm like, I didn't get to do much. The reason I didn't get to do much is these printers were going all day for the last week. And they are so loud that they're fast. They're fast. These are like the fastest printers I've ever had. Whereas a print on my old Ender 3 would take like 17 hours. I could do them in 4 or 5 with these printers. But they're so loud because they're going so fast at that point that I can't like really do recording on audio. I can't really operate ham radio. And there is a noise floor involved with the power supplies too. Some RFI, right? So there's a few things there that I thought of, and I'm like, yeah, that might be also a consideration.
And that's why you need a side table next to your dining room table, Sean.
Yeah, you know, that's perfect. You know, I don't have kids, so I'm just going to turn that. This is the second bedroom, by the way, so I'm going to turn the third bedroom into another.
I think that to put it besides the dining room table, that's not for everyone. I would not be married if I did that.
Yeah, but you also
But
need
anyway,
a stable
I think
table.
Andy was asking for very first 3D printer, and I guess everybody suggests FDM. I mean, that's probably where we can all agree on. And also not too small. So I would definitely not go smaller than 20 times 20 centimeters. So 25 times 25, even better, but then you might already have a problem with the budget, or you have to budget print quality with print space.
Yeah, I would recommend staying away from Ender print or Creality printers. Like, they're really good if you want it as a hobby. If you want to like fix things, then they're great printers, and that's why I buy them, because like I want to be able to replace everything. I want to have a cheap starting point that I can tear everything off and rebuild it. But if you want something that just works, then something else, which I don't know anything about, basically.
And you need space to print at least a centerpiece for a dipole.
That's right.
Hey,
Yeah.
you found that.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That's
maybe
one of my prototypes.
Coming back a second to resin printers, of course, I also have a resin printer. I could not let that, what was it, the illegal Mast deal go that went over, I think, Amazon a few years ago. And they, as everybody said, they're really a hassle a bit, the resin printers. But if you're into figurines, so if you're not printing functional parts, you can do some really amazing things with it. Here
Some
we
great-
have
Great detail.
Albert.
Yeah, let's see if
3D.
I can embiggen you here.
I
There.
don't know if the
There we go.
camera can do it, but yeah, you see the amount of details that you get with these things. So if you're into figurines or, printing something for your, I don't know, board games, then that might be the right choice. But I mean, the resolution is really ridiculous. Look at this. Here's another one. I don't even know if that will focus.
I see that Kjetil has put up a picture here as well. So
yeah, that is one of these test images or test models that you can print with a resin printer, and I don't even know if you see it in the camera that it has all these tiny spikes here.
You cannot do that with an FDM printer.
No.
Exactly, but as I said, if you're into functional parts, if you want to print something for your antennas, FDM definitely.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add your picture here, Kjetil.
Yeah, so this is also a resin model, Mandalorian, of course. So this is like amazing detail coming right out of the printer. Perfect for painting. Another one, decapitated jar, I think the name is. And that is also very nice. Of course, this model is maybe like 5 centimeters high. But one thing you need to know about resin is also that it's weaker. Like it's
if you can quickly come back to my screen again, I showed you the Albert, and that is what happens when the cat throws Albert down. Yeah, it's brittle.
Okay. So we got a couple of, or we got one question here, and we got to do the drawing because I see the time is running really fast today.
And we have to finish on time, right?
Yeah, Nathan asked about the Fusion 360 and the best software for the beginner. I would say Fusion 360. I know, Sean, you got some other preferences there.
I'm on the fence about it. As you grow into 360, it's easier and easier to use. And I've been using a lot to become more familiar with it because I see it has way more potential than something like TinkerCAD. But I still will recommend TinkerCAD if you're just kind of wanting to build like basic things that are, maybe like you're not trying to go into production out of a product. You're just trying to like maybe design something very simple. It's easy, it's simple, it's straightforward. They teach it in 3rd grade, so it's very. If we could do it, you can, right? But when you want to get into what I would call complexity and the ability to modify something, so as I'm building something in TinkerCAD, let's say I have 6 steps, and I decide that first thing I did in the 6 steps I want to change, I have to undo all 5 things to do this.
Wow.
No.
In Fusion 360, you can just click on a tab here, bodies. You can click on bodies and be like, oh yeah, I didn't like that body. Click it, resize it, good to go. So there's a lot more functionality in Fusion 360.
Sorry.
No, please.
There is a learning curve to this. When you're learning 3D, I saw that I was a study assistant at a university for 3D modeling. So we saw that like some people, they can't cope with it. Like they can't get their mind around like working with 3D space. Others, like you go up a very steep slope and then you reach some sort of plateau. And at that point, you understand it. Like it's like mathematics or any other thing you have to learn. It takes a while to like learn to navigate 3D space, to think and to at least to do it properly. So I would like start with some simple tutorials and make sure you find some good ones, because there are some really horrendous ones on YouTube. Like some that like they just skip a lot of steps and you get just dumped into something really complex suddenly. Fusion 360 is a good one. Onshape is another one which is good and free, at least at some tier. If you want to do
SketchUp.
Yeah, and if you want to do organic stuff like that jar figure I showed you, then Blender is a good tool, which is used more for like 3D visualization, but less for CAD, although you can use it for it. And all of these have great tutorials on YouTube, and they are available for free at some level, at least. So just go at it. Decide you want to build, for example, a box for a Raspberry Pi. Something like that. Just decide, sketch it up, and then try to model it. That's a good way to start.
And that's the great thing about having a 3D printer there is you get that instant result of whether or not you were successful or what needs to be changed.
And
Sean, you clearly have gotten too fast printers now, because instant is not what I would call it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm just gonna show off a couple of pictures here, though. I did a video yesterday, filmed a video yesterday about a car install for an 891. And this is made, I didn't design this though, but you're going to see the entire part and how it fits into the car on my video tomorrow. But this is actually a dashboard mount for the 891 with, let's see if my arrow shows up. This is for a push-to-talk button. So you can actually have a separate push-to-talk button when using a separate microphone and a headset. I'd recommend you guys to look at that video tomorrow, because this is a really nice print and a really nice design that is made specifically for Kia EV6. And how about we do the drawing now before we're suddenly run out of time, Bob? I'm gonna get us back to normal mode here. Let's see. And who did we lose? Sean. We lost Sean.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hopefully he'll be back.
Yep.
Or he just prepares his stream. No, just kidding.
Yeah, he sent a private message here, so he'll be right back. Let me find the picture of the. Let's see, he is back, or at least his chair is back. Let's find the picture that you sent me there, Bob.
Actually, you can I'm sharing a screen now. You are
sharing a screen.
Instead.
It's so much screen sharing going on at the moment here now. So, yeah.
That's the one.
We got that.
So basically, I will try and explain what we're doing. What we are doing is we are looking at the number of spots, whisper spots, reported to whisper.rocks during the first half hour of the show. We're going to take that number. We're going to divide it by the number of correct answers. That's 4. And the remainder of that division is going to be a number between 0 and 3. So we have no way of influencing this, and you can try it at home. Afterwards, you can verify our random number generation. So I have the SQL query set up here, and we shall run the query, and we will see the index of the winner down here. So let's hope this works. And the winner is number 3.
Number 3. And let's find... Now I'm going to find the right picture here. Let's see. I got to do it like this first, so perhaps. I have so many things open. And it was number 3?
Yeah.
Number 3 is 2 Mike 0 Whiskey Hotel November. And I hope you're good on QRZ if you're watching this.
I have his contact information, and I think that's William, if I'm not mistaken, from the chat.
Yeah, that should be William. No, I'm not sure. I am bad at call signs.
Me too.
That is correct.
That is correct.
So congratulations, William.
Congratulations. You won a hat with not yet defined text.
I'll get in touch with you. We're connected on Discord, so I'll get in touch with you for your address if that's not on QRZ, and I will make sure you get the cap.
Excellent. And let's see. Since we have to end on time, perhaps we should do our next week now. And but first of all, Tobias, you are sharing something here. I'm beginning you first.
Yeah, I just wanted to show what Jean mentioned before, that that's one of the benefits of this kind of 3D printing software, that you can basically roll back. Yeah, so you basically have a timeline here, and you can basically bit by bit you can go back and see step by step how this was designed. And you can also just say, oh, hang on a second, at the very beginning I made a mistake and the diameter of that hole or the height is wrong. You just edit it, and everything that follows afterwards and uses that reference is updating after the fact. So that is really very, very nice, especially if you're designing around something like a PCB, like I did for this stupid microphone adapter. You can refine it without having to redo the model from scratch every time. You basically say, oh yeah, the hole is a little bit too close to the middle, move it 2 millimeters outside, etc., etc. And that way you are, in theory, pretty quick in coming to a nice prototype of your design.
And that's a great example would be like right here. So this is an SL230.
See if I can get you up there,
sure.
Sean.
That's good enough, right? The SL239 connector, right? And these 4 holes, for example, they were supposed to be, I can't remember, 18 millimeters apart. And for some reason, they were like 18.2 millimeters apart. And at that point, instead of having to individually move each and every one of them, because TinkerCAD doesn't have that cloning option, I would have had to like move this one in and then move this one in and hope they aligned. Whereas just like Tobias, right? Tobias showed a second ago, I could just go back and then I could say, hey, bring all those 18 millimeters apart instead. So yeah, I mean, it is really practical and easy to do it that way. And it makes
and
sense.
I hope you're not bringing them 18 inches closer, because let's see, Bob, what do you have here?
Yeah, this is.
I am in a rat's nest of trying to produce something here. Let's see if I can get this right. And apparently, you have. Let's see. There we
go. Yes. This is it's basically a coil former for coaxial coils, chokes. The first time I needed to make that for an antenna, I figured this is perfect for a 3D printer. But this thing is what's called a parametric design. So when you open it's designed in FreeCAD. It can do all the things that you spoke about. It doesn't do them nearly as well, but it's free and it's open source free software. Basically, you can open the design for this and you enter the width of the coax, the number of turns you want, and the diameter of the coil, and it's going to produce an STL file, something you can put in your printer that matches these settings. That's the idea of parametric design. You get something looking like a spreadsheet where you can enter the values, and it's just generating a part that's just right for your use case.
And that's actually great, because I feel like in the HRCC Discord the other day, somebody was looking for just exactly what you just showed right there. So I'm going to jump back in there and I'm going to look like the hero of the day. But well, we go back to Andy's thing real quick. We talk about FDM printers, and I think we all universally agree that a deposition molding is kind of the way to go, where it spits out the filament onto the bed. One of the new technologies that I definitely see the advantage of now that I have it is the Core XY versus just a standard like an Ender 3, where the bed moves, where the bed moves, and the bed's doing a lot of work there, and you don't get really the best prints. Whereas the Core XY, basically the bed's moving a lot less, and then most of the work's happening up in the XY axis. Why they call it a Core XY.
Yep.
And I think that the Core XY is going to be the future into 3D printing over the next few years, like Ender 3s and how we're used to seeing 3D printers. They've been going for a while. I kind of compared to dot matrix printers. I think we were talking about that in your. I compared
Is it moving the Z-axis as well, so that you basically deposit your FDM plastic in 3D space, so not just flat, but going up and down in curves?
The Z-axis is really just moving up and down.
Okay.
I don't think. Yeah, it does move. It does move on the Y plane a little bit, but not too much. Most of it's happening up here. If that answers the question, I could definitely show you.
Okay, maybe that's also more a question for what slicer do you use, because I think I've seen slicers that can really, if you have like a rounded shape that you want to print, that you don't have to print it, left, right, left, right, left, right, and then when you have a dome or something on top, it gets just smaller and smaller. You could really print like the Z-axis moving up and down and following the curve of your model.
That is to me that sounds like something that is bound to go wrong at some point.
No.
I gotta ask this question because I hear the Z-axis and the Z-axis. Which one is it?
It's the Zulu access, you know.
Yeah.
You better use NATO phonetics out there.
Right.
But
The Zulu axis. I'm for that.
And I can see on the time here that we are gonna skip the what's happening next week segment. So
hey, I could jump out of here right now. You guys can finish your show.
We don't want to be. We don't have to be impolite. You're the guest here, so we just finish on time one day.
Yeah, and we want to bring all our viewers onto your stream, Sean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our
Stream
millions of
and I want to win that
viewers.
Gigadude mask.
How many do we
because that
have,
looks
by the way?
nice.
Hey, but before we go, I want to ask the question about the Gigadude mask. What heights do you have right now, Sean? What are you working?
The Gigadude 25 foot mast, and 25 foot mast. That's what I got. I decided not to continue on with the mast production because it just financially was actually killing me. So I left it at the Gigadude 25. Maybe in the future I'll revisit it. And let me ask you this. If I were to revisit it, would you rather see a smaller mast for portable use, or would you rather see like a 75-foot mast?
Well, yeah, no, that's a good question because that's why I ask. You know, I've got everything. I've got all of Callum's DX Commander masts or whatever, but I don't have I want something I could put a 41-foot vertical on. So, you know what I mean? I want like a just slightly over, maybe 41, 42 feet. I know we're talking American Imperial here, but, you know. I mast, you know what I mean? But I want
12 meters.
Yeah, 12. Well, yeah, 12-meter mast. There you go.
Yeah. I just guessed that could be completely wrong.
This is another one of my pet peeves. You don't want to put a vertical on a carbon fiber mast. I've done that, and they fuse together.
There is interaction. I've shown that, you know, if you have it separated enough, it reduces the interaction, but there is interaction. However, because Walt mentioned that, one of the things I was considering was doing a fiberglass clamp mast, because I had that episode where I did the easier DX Commander, and with the topper that I designed and 3D printed, I wish I had one around here to show you.
That's
they're all sold out, you know. But
the Lieutenant Dude. I
think I called it the Lieutenant Deuce for the number 2, but it was the improvement of the Lieutenant Dude, and allows you to just snap on the topper that I designed, and then use bungees down to wherever the wire goes. So you don't need spacers anymore if it's a fiberglass mast, because they'll go straight down. So all you have to do is you go out in the field, you extend out your 43-foot mast, or in my case, I was thinking 34 feet, put the topper on, put the bungees on with the wires, and you're good to go. I would have to work on a plate on the bottom, because I want to get a plate that's not 3D printed, a plate more like Kellum's. And it would definitely be feasible. In fact, even if I don't end up producing a 43-foot mast, I would probably find somewhere like Max Gain has some clampable mast and start building off of theirs, because I think that idea is really cool. And I tried to get Kellum on board with it. I was like, look at an improved DX Commander. I think he would do... Kellum would do really well with it, to be honest with you. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. We're at almost 59 minutes now. So thank you for being on, Sean.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And I can see that we need to revisit this topic at some point.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think we just scratched the surface a bit.
Yes.
Yep.
I will tell you, about a year ago, I wrote an article in QST about 3D printing. I was a co-writer of it, so it was coming from multiple different price ranges and thought processes. You know, so I talked about the Yender, and there was some talking about the Prusa. However, in the next month or two, maybe 3, you should see a series of videos at the ARRL's YouTube page with me talking about 3D printing start to finish. So if you do have questions that weren't answered today, hopefully we'll pick it up here on the stream soon. But also, don't forget to check out those videos, because I'm gonna aim to make them as educational as possible for anybody.
Maybe we can link them in the description of the stream when they pop up.
Yes, as soon as we get them.
Yep. And I've linked your channel in the chat now, Sean. So we're going to say 7-3 now. And we hope to see most of our viewers over at your giveaway stream for 24,900 and some viewers.
I think we're at 914 now. 24,914.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Still
you.
better, still better than all of us. Okay, guys. Until next time.
So
7-3.
thanks for joining us
7-3.
today, and until next week, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
having me. Bye.
Bye.